Welcome to Unstuck Yourself. The correct name is Unfuck Yourself, but the brokerage didn't like that, so you came to Unstuck Yourself today. Couple rules. First one is please be vulnerable. So we don't have like a crazy large group actually today, which is great. Some of the rooms we've had have been like jam-packed and people are, fighting over chairs kind of thing. So this is actually really ideal that you guys can speak and participate a little bit more. I'm gonna get really vulnerable with you at the end of the class. So the more that you can participate throughout, the better. Because ultimately what we're here to do is to help each other and to grow, right? And to learn. And the only way that happens is if we can acknowledge where we're at right now. Second is just raise your hand if you have a question, and I will call on you, I promise. I'll just get to you in a second. Please use the information. And then the most important rule of all, no more excuses. I'm gonna push you today at a couple of points. I'm gonna make you do some things that are uncomfortable. Please, 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 no more excuses. If you're here, if you were intrigued by the name of a class called Unstuck Yourself, I have to imagine that there's something going on in your life or in your business that you're not feeling super awesome about or you're feeling uncertain about. The best thing that you can do is take this information and go apply it so that you can get yourself out of that situation or to somewhere better. One recommendation, always. One recommendation I have for you is we're gonna go through 7 principles today. And what I find when I teach classes is sometimes people take really good notes and then they probably don't ever look at them again, right? So I'm gonna ask you to do one thing right now, which will help ensure that you take this information and actually go apply it. So I need you to pull up your calendar. Everybody pull up your calendar. And whenever it feels good, if it's tomorrow, if it's a week from now, if it's 3 weeks from now, I want you to put in an hour-long calendar block to review these notes. Send me feedback, that would be really appreciated. But then to take the next step, to put other things into your calendar that you're actually gonna go do, that you learned today. Now, what I just had you do is not rocket science. This is actually a really great principle that you can apply to any class or anything that you go to learn, is always set a calendar block in the future for you to reflect back on it to actually implement what it is that you're doing or what you just learned. Because what ends up happening is you get out of this class, you open up your phone, you've got text messages from clients, you've got emails to respond to, or you've got an appointment to get to, and you go and you do that. And hopefully a couple nuggets stay, but that's all it ever is. And I really want to see you do more than that. So quick agenda, just a really brief intro. I'm going to take you through 4 principles. We're going to have a very brief break, as I mentioned. It'll literally be like 5 minutes. I'm going to run and come back. And then we're going to jump into the next 3 principles before we wrap up. Good? Okay, first things first, is anybody here not a real estate agent? Cool. What business are you in?
Software engineering.
Software engineering. Okay, cool. So it doesn't totally matter whether you're in real estate or you're in another business. If you are self-employed, these principles are going to apply to you. I apologize to you, however, a lot of the references are going to be real estate based, but there's not too many of them, so it'll be okay.
Just came here to learn.
Okay, I love that. Welcome. Is anybody here not at your castle? They're at a different brokerage? Okay. Traitor. No, I'm just kidding. No. Everyone's welcome to this office. Really happy to have you. I appreciate you. Jared's seriously still coming. It means a lot. So thanks for being here. Has anybody been to any of my other 2 classes? It's a 3-class series. Anything that anybody wants to say about those? Because I've got one more that I'm doing. So maybe to the other people in the room, it might inspire them to come. Yeah.
I think I like how real it is and how just forthright you are, and it's not just more surface talk and this. It's just very real, and I appreciate that piece of it.
Yeah.
So,
thanks for that. Yeah, no problem speaking my mind. Tara?
Yeah, I mean, I missed the last class, but I did go to the one in, was it May?
Yeah. Make It Rain referrals.
Make It Rain referrals. And that one, it took me like a month because my daughter got out of school to go back and look at the notes and send her feedback. But this time I put it on my calendar for tomorrow because everything from that class, I've kept using things from it every single week since the class. So there was so much that I got out of it.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much, I went to the Make It Rain referrals as well, and I have a question. The way I learned, I have to hear it a couple times.
Yeah.
That was recorded and it's somewhere, or,
Yeah, this gentleman in the back recorded it for us, so we've got it.
so where do I find it?
You just
Because I
email me.
write notes, I just,
Yeah.
email you?
Yeah, email me. Yeah.
I think one thing that I got out of the last class is systems, that we all are on our own island. And so when you think in terms of people getting into this business, they have no clue. It's like they think it's gonna be easy, lots of money, but you've gotta create these systems. And that's where I had my shortfall when I started this business. Back then, they just didn't have all this.
Yeah.
You just did door knocking and pray that somebody answers the phone, you know, that kind of thing. So now you guys are lucky, I can say, that you have all these things that you didn't have when you started.
Yeah.
So systems are huge.
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we can get a refresh of the first two classes.
Yeah, so I'm teaching the one of them in August. That one's going to be at Chicago Title up north because all of the classes have been down south and people up north haven't been able to come. So that one's in August. The other one I'm not teaching anymore for now. I'm working on some things with the brokerage to hopefully, that's not going to help you in this case, but to hopefully bring more of this to you all more regularly. That one I have a recording of though, so if you email me, I can send it to you. And for your business, that's probably the one that you want. Cool. And
Chelsea, the one that
Yeah.
you're teaching in August, that's the Make It Rain referrals?
yeah,
I can't find that online. I even went to Chicago Title, Westminster, and they don't have that class listed.
yeah, thanks. We just got the registration link from them yesterday. So feel free to email me if you want to come to that. We've had an interesting time because it's not run through the brokerage, but we'll get the link out to anybody that wants to come.
Where is it?
It's at the Chicago Title in Westminster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give a date for it yet?
August something. Yeah. It's a Tuesday. Okay, and then the last question for you guys is just raise your hand, please, loud and proud. We're working on the vulnerable thing. Does anybody here feel like they're stuck right now or getting in their own way? Cool. Well, the good news is if you just raised your hand, you're not alone. We're in this room together. So let's start working on some of this stuff. A little bit about who I am in case you don't know. I'm Chelsea Steen. I'm 32 years old. A couple other things. I built a painting. Oh, that's rude. Well,
What about the button on the screen?
did it just go off suddenly? Okay. It's probably me, to be honest. I probably stepped on this cord. Just like all technology, just unplug it and plug it back in and it'll work. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm Chelsea Steen. I'm 32 years old. I started my first business back when I was 9, but my first profitable business when I was 19. So I ran a painting company for 8 years before I sold it and got into real estate. I've only been a realtor for 6 years, which is nuts because it feels like a freaking lifetime, but it has apparently only been 6 years. I've been a business coach for the last 12, an entrepreneur for 23. A couple other things to note, again, in case we don't know each other. Historically, I always finish in the top 2 to 5% of realtors in the country. I have since my first year in business. Last year, my wife, who's in the back of the room, and I traveled for 10 months. And we still brought in over 400K in GCI while we were traveling last year, which was a pretty cool thing. Other stuff, in case you care, love to travel, snowboard, do anything that's outside. I mostly do yoga to stay fit, retired athlete, etc. Okay, so what I want you to know before we jump into the principles is that everything we're going to talk about is going to be high level. Each one of the principles I'm about to lay on you could honestly be an hour or 2 hour long class in and of itself. So we're going to stay as high level as possible, but give you a couple of flavors of different things. So there'll be 7 sections. And when I sat down to write this class a few months ago, this was actually the hardest one for me to write by far. The others, it was just business and systems and what do you need to do. This one's a little harder because I had to sit and reflect on like what were the harder moments in my life and in my career, and what were the things that I had to do to get myself through those situations or to propel myself forward. And the 7 things that I came up with are here. And so we'll go through each of those in detail, starting now. So principle 1 is one of my favorites and what I think is arguably one of the most impactful that we're going to talk about today, which is ownership. And I see so many people not take ownership, not only of their results, but more importantly of their actions or inaction. So when I say ownership, can somebody kind of just spout out, like, what do you think that means when I say that?
Own the responsibility of your decisions.
Owning responsibility?
Accountable.
Yeah, accountability, holding yourself accountable. So what are the consequences of not taking ownership? There's a bunch backed by science, and I wanted to share this with you because it's really crazy, actually, when you lay it out on paper. So first one is you have reduced productivity because you're not owning your actions and therefore your results, so you actually perform less and lower. You have poor job satisfaction. I think that you have poor job satisfaction because of the next one, which is that you have poor accountability and you blame shift. I think that it's really easy to get dissatisfied in the work that you're doing when you're constantly looking at everyone else around you because you have no power in that situation. When you're looking all around you, you don't have any control. And that's a pretty miserable spot to be, especially when bad things happen. It stunts your innovation and your initiative, and it hinders your personal and professional development. This principle alone is the reason that I've been able to be successful, is I have no problem taking ownership. If anything, I take too much ownership, and I've had to rein my ass back in of like, that's not yours, let that go. So one of my favorite quotes from me is something I say to myself regularly, which is, it's your fault. You walk out of a listing appointment, it didn't go so well, that's your fault. It's not because the dog was there yapping and all these other things happened. You lose a buyer client. You don't get as many leads as you want in a month. It is your fault. And I think it's also tricky because we live in an industry where it's very market-based, or at least that's what we tell ourselves. It is very market-based, but also we have to shift and change and innovate along the way. And then if it is so market-based, why are there people that absolutely crush it regardless of what kind of market we're in?
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
And also it's maybe not so market-based. It's what you are actually going and doing, right? So I was really lucky. I was like 20 years old and I had a business coach, which we'll talk about in a bit. And my business coach came to me because I was just like hustling like a mother trucker my first year running my painting company. And I did pretty well, but I still had a lot I needed to learn. And he came to me and he said, listen, running a business should be like looking in a mirror. All the time. It should just be like looking in a mirror. Everything that happens or does not happen is a result of something you directly did or did not do. And if you can take that perspective in any situation, you are always going to be focusing on what it is that you can control, which is something that you did really well and you should keep doing, or something that you could do a little bit better. So I want to try it out with you all. Does anybody have something that has happened in their business in the last week that maybe you felt down about or bummed about, or you're having a hard time kind of taking the growth from? And this is that vulnerable part that we asked for at the beginning. I know it's not fun, but.
I guess just listings sitting and them all being my friends' houses, and so not wanting to let down my friends for not being able to sell their houses.
Yeah. Okay, Becca, I'm going to take you through this exercise, and none of this is to throw shade at you at all. Does anybody here have listings sitting? Yeah, okay. So you're not alone. Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so why are my listings sitting? There's a couple things that you can do to prevent your listings from sitting. Yes, some of it we are waiting for the right buyer, but let's take control over the situation. One of the first things I think that you can do is be accurate with your comps. And maybe it's time to rerun comps again and not have so much confidence in what you did the first time and look again. Did I fuck that up? Did I miss a little bit? If you have accurate comps, that's great. The second thing is to be aware of where the market is and also where it's heading. So if you put this on the market in June, understanding that the market tends to slow down in July and August. So does it make the most sense for me to list it at the high end of this, or am I better to go at the low end depending on the urgency of the client? So maybe I missed the mark on where I priced it. Another huge one is expectation setting with clients. That if you do that really well at the beginning, the rest of your job is easy, whether it's buying or selling. It doesn't matter. It's just setting expectations with clients, which is, listen, this is where I think that we should be right now, but we need to move on our feet because the market's changing. And I also need you to simultaneously be patient. So I want to have a conversation right now about what price drops we're potentially doing and when, and actually put that into our listing agreement. And that way, you've already handled the objections. And I don't really feel like, no, you've already had that conversation up front. Then there's the marketing stuff, right? And I could run you through that list. But the point is that there are all of these things along the way that if you go back and you really closely examine, that maybe there was something in there that you could have done a little bit better. And whatever that thing was, let it go. It happened, but learn from it and then do better the next time. Otherwise, you're just going to sit back and feel powerless because your listings are sitting. Yeah? So when it comes to ownership, sometimes it's really hard to see ourselves because we're in our heads all the time. So what I would recommend is that you find a couple of honest mentors, people that are going to happily point out your blind spots. I have a couple. So the first one's Colin Whitenack. He's actually an agent at our office. I adore him. He's been my mentor since I got started in this business. He had the unfortunate luck of being stuck with me in an office at Keller Williams. And soon enough, he had to answer his phone regularly with all of my questions because we did not have managing broker support there. One of the things I love about Colin is that he loves me to death, but he is not afraid to hurt my feelings. One time I was on the phone with him and I told him about a client that I lost, and he's like, you know what, Chelsea? You've got a bad attitude. Fuck, okay. And he was right. And I needed to hear that at that point. I needed that. Like, damn, I did have a bad attitude, and I'm making this all about me instead of what could I have done better here. The second person is Miss Amy Nakos. Hopefully you guys know who this is. One of the things I love about Amy is that she's a lawyer by trade, so she's very litigious. So I call Amy when I'm trying to navigate different situations of how do I cover my ass, how do I cover my client's ass, and also I just really trust her ethics and her judgment. So, hey, this is what I did. Can you give me some feedback on that? And she's honestly told me before, yeah, I probably could have done better there. The next one's my basketball coach, who I'll talk to you a little bit about later as well. Probably hard to tell from this photo, but not a super warm, fuzzy guy. Not a warm, fuzzy guy. And what I loved about him is that he had no problem picking me up by my jersey when I was in high school, screaming in my face, telling me to go do suicides and run and all of this stuff. And to some people, that might be a little alarming. For me, I needed that. I needed that kick in the ass. I was a punk in high school, like a Mustang. I needed to be broken, and he broke me in a really good way. And to this day, we're very, very close. And then the final person is my therapist. This is Maya. It's taboo, oh God, therapy. I don't understand this. My degree is actually in psychology. That's what I studied in college. Very passionate about it. It's the craziest thing. I heard this in a seminar when I was in college, which is, you know, when we want to take care of our bodies, we do what? Like, what are some of the things we do? I heard exercise, eat well, right? But what do we do to take care of our minds? Drink. That's right. He said drink. Yes. What do we do to take care of our emotions?
Meditate.
Yeah. So therapy, really highly recommend. I wish I could tell you you're just a physical being, but you're not. We are highly intelligent, emotional beings. And if you're not doing the work to keep yourself regulated, I'm not sure how you can do a great job helping other people make the largest financial decision of their lives. Take care of yourself. Go to therapy, get a life coach, whatever. It's not taboo, just you being a human. And then when I think about ownership, here's another fun one, which we'll talk about purpose at the end. But when you want something bad enough, the how takes care of itself, right? Otherwise, you just find excuses. So when you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. So if you're having a really hard time getting yourself motivated, getting going, you're probably pretty disconnected from your why. And that would be a good thing to sit with. Okay, so what are the benefits when we do take ownership, when we're really owning, this was mine, I could have done better here, or I did really well at this? You feel empowered. So we know that horses, when they go and they run their race, they have blinders on, right? They're just focused on themselves and their race. It's the same thing when you take a lot of ownership, is you stop worrying so much about everybody else, and you're just focused on you and what you can do better so that you can run your race. And you feel much more empowered in that because you have more control. The next is you'll have increased confidence because you're not afraid to say that you fucked something up. It's okay. We all make mistakes all the time. People actually will respect you more when you own it. We are in a cancel culture right now. And what do we all want to see when a CEO gets caught with somebody?
Ownership.
Ownership. Own it. You fucked up. That's not okay. Don't blame Coldplay. They're perfect. They're perfect. Leave them alone. But people will actually respect you more when you take ownership. You'll have improved performance. You'll have higher job satisfaction because you feel more in control over what you're doing. You will personally grow and develop much faster. You'll make better decisions, and you'll probably be more innovative and creative. So I don't know about you, but that's a good enough list for me to want to say, all right, let me get on my shit. Let me take a little bit more ownership. So after each segment, I'm going to give you a couple of resources in case this is something that's resonated with you. It's something that you're like, I could do a better job of this for sure. So a couple of resources I'd recommend. First is therapy. A lot of the reasons that we're afraid to take ownership is because we are afraid. It is an emotion, and this is something that a therapist can help you with. We are all mostly driven by fear. It's crazy. Other humans can help you. Mentors, coaches, team leads, hopefully spouses. You can practice. This is probably the most important, is try to catch yourself after a mistake. So quickly we go to the, oh, this person was an asshole, or this, that, whatever. Catch yourself as quickly as you can and say, what was my role here? What could I have done better? And then, has anyone read the book Extreme Ownership? Do you remember, could you tell us a little bit about it, or has it been a while?
It's been a while, but I guess the long and the short is what you're talking about. You take ownership, even if it seems like a scenario where you didn't have much of a voice or input. You're not looking for anybody. You're looking at what could I have done different to make this situation have a better outcome.
Yeah.
So you're just taking it all on yourself, whether it's other people, a team, whatever it is.
Yeah. So since not many people have read this book, I would highly recommend that right now you pull up Amazon or a lesser evil, like a local bookstore, and order this book because it will actually change your life. I've recommended this to so many coaching clients and back to my team members when I had a team. And literally within the first 3 chapters, I saw a demeanor change within people. They had not even gotten through the full book. And all of a sudden, their whole attitude was different. Their confidence was higher. It is a military-based book, so it gives a lot of military examples, but that's part of why it's called Extreme Ownership, is it goes to some pretty extreme scenarios and still shows how you can take ownership. Questions on ownership before we go on to the next one? No. All right, cool. Let's rock and roll. The next one is environment. So we're thinking about getting ourselves out of tricky situations or learning new skills, your environment plays a huge role. And we're going to talk about both your external environment and also your internal environment, because both really matter. Does anybody here have houseplants? Can someone other than my wife explain why you have to repot your plants? Will you say that just a little louder?
The roots get bound up and then the plant can't grow anymore.
Yeah. So the roots get bound up and the plant can't grow anymore. It grows out to the edges of its pot. And so it'll just stop growing, or sometimes it'll start to like suffocate itself and die. We are plants. We are plants. And so sometimes, if you're feeling really stuck, it's not always the solution. Sometimes we change our environment to distract ourselves from uncomfortable feelings. But sometimes changing your environment, it gives you a bigger pot, and it allows us to put nutrients back into the soil, because that's also what you're typically doing when you repot, fresh soil and nutrients, so that you have more room to grow. And how often do plants need to be repotted, roughly? Every year or so. So this is something for you to think about. Once a year at least, and I'll give you this advice in a bit, but once a year you should have some sort of big check-in with yourself. I usually do this twice a year. So one is at the end of the year, I'll take myself on like a 3-day retreat. I almost always go up to Breckenridge because it's mud season, it's cheap, and I love the mountains. And I sit for 3 days and I think and I reflect and I feel and I look at my life and I'm honest with myself. What do I like? What do I not? What do I want to do better next year? That's when I do my goal setting for the next year as well. I also try to take a 2-week trip by myself every single year. I leave my wife at home. It's not her favorite, but I do, because I need time to go travel and be in my element with myself, completely distraction-free, to objectively look at my life and see what's working and what's not. So just a suggestion that if this isn't something you're regularly doing with yourself, man, you're going to have huge impacts if you just go do it one time, because it's something you probably haven't done before. So we're going to do an exercise. I need everybody to pull out a fresh piece of paper. Or steal from a neighbor if you don't have paper. Okay. We're going to have 4 columns, so you can draw them if you want. 4 columns across with 6 rows. So 4 by 6. If you want to draw it, you can. And then just look up whenever you're done. The amount of concentration on your faces is hysterical. No one's going to grade you, I promise. Okay, so you're going to leave that top left corner totally blank, right? That's just an empty space. And then I want you to list out under that, so in the 5 lines under it, who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with? And yes, your children count. Individually, not as a lump sum. So if you have 4 kids, you're not spending a lot of time with a lot of other people. Yeah, so just skip the top left box and then start cranking down the left side.
Name in each box.
Yeah, exactly. 1 name in each box. And just look up whenever you're done, and then I'll give the next instruction. You have a question?
If you're doing the environment, you don't have no body.
Well, just in your life. This isn't just for your work. In your life. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Okay. Now at the top of the next column, put a $sign. And now I want you to go through each of these people and put what you estimate their annual income is. And for those of you with kids, you cannot put a negative, but you can put a 0.
Negative 30,000.
Yeah, for real though.
Start working soon.
For real. It's time to pay rent.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm going to give you 20 more seconds. It was a fast 20, but we're going to go to the next one. The next column, I want you to put attitude at the top. And what you can do is on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is Eeyore, right? Bad attitude, or the Grinch. 10 is a ray of sunshine, Mel Robbins. I want you to rank where you would classify where their attitude is. Generally, not like, oh, well, today they were a 2. Like, no, like, just like generally, how would you classify their attitude? We'll see quickly who had arguments with spouses and kids this morning.
Our spouses don't get to see this, right?
Correct. Only if you show it to them. Like, and at the end, maybe you will as leverage. You were a 0. No. All right, and then the final column is habits. And the way that you're ranking them is scale of 1 to 10. It's the quality of their habits. So think about the 10 as a person that's like the epitome of health to you, not just physical health, but also mental, emotional. Like they are just super healthy, regulated, have great habits. And then a 1, whatever that is for you, I don't know. I always know who has kids because they're always chuckling when they're doing this. You're like grading them.
You were like wrench today.
Yeah.
They're pretty much ready for sunshine.
Yeah, good. Lucky. Okay. Are we done? Close to done? So what we're going to do now is at the bottom of these columns, we're going to take an average. So you might need your calculator for the salary one. So to take an average, right, we add up the 5 and divide by 5. So add up the 5 salaries and then divide by 5 and write that average at the bottom. And then you'll do the same for the next 2 columns. So total up their attitude, and give it an average. Total up the quality of their habits and give it an average. And just look up whenever you're done if you don't mind. Okay, why did we just do this? What the heck were we doing? That was weird. Studies show that you are generally the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And this doesn't just mean that this is where you're at, because you might look at these numbers and be like, this actually doesn't line up with where I'm at all. To me, more of what it indicates is that if you continue spending all of your time with these 5 people, this is where you're headed. This is the direction that you're going. Does anybody want to share what their numbers and stuff looked like?
Mine's are below 2.
What was that?
Mines are below 2.
They're below 2? Yeah, okay. Well, we got to work on that. Yeah, now you know.
Only ways up from here.
Yeah.
So my average income, my income is exactly the average of these 5. A couple are 6-figure earners, and like a couple are not high earners, so that's not good.
Yeah.
And then I thought I wanted to guess what the attitude and habits would be, and it was like a 7 and a 6, and that's exactly what they were.
Cool.
So,
Well, so it's pretty good. So
Yeah.
the salary is about in line, and you've generally got people with good attitudes and good habits. Great. But maybe that's like where you're at right now. And so you might want to think about, well, where do I want to get to? And how do I shuffle some of these things around, which we'll talk about. Is anybody disappointed with where it came back at? Yeah? You want to share?
I have young kids, and so including 3 young kids on here is like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of makes me want to cry, in that I love my children, and I'm like, I feel so responsible for growing 3 children into good humans, and you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, of course, this is my numbers, and where do you find time to put? I think it would be interesting, I will do it again without my kids involved, to see, because I think it's a little, it shifts it a little strangely.
It's a phase of life, right? I saw something where
Yeah.
the happiness of curve of life was like a smiley face, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe your 40s aren't supposed to be your happiest time because you're dedicating your life to someone else, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah. And what it could point to is maybe I do need to prioritize myself and some friendships and some leadership as best as possible while still being an awesome mom, because I need that as a plant. So whether you're happy or you're not, I just wanted to give you this to chew on, because this is something that I also look at once a year, because who you spend time with changes. So how can you improve it if you're not happy with it? Number one, if you had kids on there, just trade them out and get some that make money.
Just be Kris Jenner.
You can return them and get some that are making 6 figures. Your average goes up a lot. What it really is supposed to help you with is be conscious of who you're spending time with and how much. So maybe you have a really good friend of yours who brings you a ton of joy, but maybe they're not really moving you forward in your life. And so this might be something that you reckon with a little bit of, do I need to go do a whole day with them? Or could we just go to brunch and go to a yoga class instead? Could I spend a little less so that I have a little more for myself or for others? So it might help you just kind of rework how and when you're spending time with people. As I mentioned, I would regularly check in on this because it changes. It can change a lot in a year. Your family might stay the same, hopefully, but others around you change. People change brokerages, they change teams, they change business coaches, they change therapists, they change, friendships have falling outs. This changes. So it's something to look at. And then my final piece of advice here is to look and reach up. So one thing, and you'll learn more about my background as a kid at the end, but I was very fearless as a child. And that's helped me a lot in my career. One of the things I think it's helped me most with is that when I go into a room, I make it a point to try to find the most successful person in that room and to talk to them. Because that's the person that I want to know, that I want to grow from. Amy Nakos probably doesn't even know that, but that's how we became such good friends. I was like, she's a fucking boss. So the next time I was in a room with her, I went up to her and befriended her. And now we're close friends. You know Rick Davidson, the owner of our company, who bought Your Castle? So when he first bought the company, I was like, damn, that's a successful guy. So as soon as we were done with our company meeting and we had our top agent lunch, I went and I sat next to Rick. And then my wife invited us to his home in Salt Lake City. So now we're friends. So I say this to you, that have some courage and look and reach up. Go find some people who you want to be like, who inspire you, and go spend time with them, develop a relationship with them. This will help you for sure.
Can I just ask, one thing in this business, a lot of your friends don't want to hear about real estate. And it's your world 24/7, if you're a realtor. So I was just asking the group, how many on that paper were realtors as your people?
Oh, for me, it's 0. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We talk about our spouse and kids and everything, but how many of them, because if you go in a room, my mom, my sister does not want to hear about real estate.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, in this group of the 5, was there any realtors that are on this list as friends?
Yeah.
I guess not.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Well, yeah, your business partner. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I just wanted, I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
Well, I want to piggyback off that a little bit, which is if you are having a hard time getting business, stop going to happy hours with real estate agents. The fuck? They're not going to buy or sell from you, so stop doing that. Go somewhere where there's actually clients. Okay. So that was kind of our external environment. So hopefully it gave you a thing or two to think about, to reflect on, to consider. The next is I want to talk about your internal environment. I would recommend that you take a photo of this so it doesn't get lost, but this has helped me so much, not only in my career, but also just generally in my life. And this is called a transition curve or a change curve. Depends on which site you're looking at. Again, this was something that I had the opportunity to learn when I was 19, and I'm so grateful because it helps me zoom out when I'm really zoomed in on a problem and freaking out. So anytime that you have a change in your life, so what we'll do here is go back and think in your mind back to when you started in real estate, okay? So you had a change in your life, you went and you started in real estate. Anytime you have a change, and this doesn't have to be a huge life change, this could also just be a skill that you're learning. That's a change. You will likely go through this curve. And where you stop on the curve matters. Hopefully you just keep going and get through. So when you're first starting out, you're at uninformed optimism. You're a brand new licensed agent. I'm gonna make a bunch of money. I'm gonna help a lot of people. And now that I'm a real estate agent, people are just gonna start calling.
Sometimes.
Uninformed optimism, right? You're really positive about it. I can do this, I've got it, this is gonna be easy, no problem. And then as you start going over the curve, you get to informed pessimism. My phone did not start ringing. This is gonna be harder than I thought. Holy shit, am I gonna be able to pay my bills? What's happening? You've got a little bit more context and you start to feel a little bit negative. Informed pessimism. You will likely keep riding that curve down. And this doesn't have to be long periods of time. How long you stay in each spot could be a fleeting moment, but you will still likely ride the curve. So you'll continue down to crisis of meaning, which is, what have I done? Why did I quit my stable W-2 job to come over and do this? I don't think that I'm going to be successful at this. I should probably start applying for jobs. Crisis of meaning. And crisis of meaning with a skill also happens. It's just a little bit quicker usually, which is that moment of panic of, oh God, I don't want to do this. And then 2 things are going to happen. One is you might crash and burn. You might decide real estate is not for me and you get out of real estate. But all of you are proof today that you continued going with the curve. And now as you continued going, you've got more information, so now you're informed, and we are at informed optimism. Maybe that was when you got your first client. Okay, I can do this. Okay, I figured out how to get a little bit of business. Okay, I've got some money, so I've got a few more months until I need my next paycheck. So what I'd encourage you to do when you're thinking about being stuck in your life and you're feeling down, you are probably at crisis of meaning. And just naming that alone with yourself will help you tremendously because you will remember that the curve continues. And if you can get through that, you will also know informed optimism is on the way. All I'm doing right now is getting information and data that I need in order to be able to go do this better. Had anybody heard this before? Okay, cool. Yay, new stuff. Questions on this? Yeah.
So I should not quit my W-2 job, have that stream of income, and stay consistent in what I want to do.
Because you want to quit engineering to go into something else?
Yeah, right?
I'm not going to say you shouldn't. It depends on the person.
No, I already quit, but I'm trying to.
Oh, well then.
No, you should not quit your W-2 job, you know, because it's the income that is coming in.
No.
Stay consistent on what you're learning to carry on.
No, I disagree. I think it depends on your personality, where you're at in life, and where your needs are. If you've got kids, you probably do need to keep your W-2 job or build your savings up enough so that you can take care of them because you have dependents. People like me need their feet to a fire. So I had to sell my other company in order to go into real estate. I was not able to just do both. I needed to quit so that I had income pressure, so that I got my shit together. That works for some people. That doesn't work for other people. So that's like kind of a separate thing. For this, it's just really more of the emotions that you're riding as you're going through and your competency as you're going through. Yeah. Okay. How can you improve your environment? The biggest one, which is this whole slide, is take better care of yourself. Can anybody raise their hand if you feel like there's something that you could be doing better for yourself? Good, so we all have work to do. So here are some of the suggestions. The first, your diet. My therapist told me once that you are what you eat. And I was like, the fuck? I'm a human and I'm eating cheeseburgers. Like that's not how it works. But actually, when you start to like break down the science of it and the nutrients that it gives you and the way that it impacts your body, you kind of are what you eat. So just something fun to think about, that if you have a lot of care for your body, you will stop eating poorly because you'll really reflect when you're putting something in your mouth. The second is exercise. This one is tricky for people, but it helps your health so much. The reason I think it's tricky is because I think we're like in all or nothing mode all the time. I either have to be training for an Ironman or I do nothing. And that's just not how exercise is. Everybody has a different body and different needs. Just go on a walk for 20 minutes a day, because 20 minutes a day of walking is better than 0, right? So just do something that feels attainable for you, but exercise. It's so important for your circulation and for your brain to get things moving. It also helps to work out emotion. You had a really tough day at work, a really stressful day in real estate, go for a walk and let some of it come out. Maybe a brisk walk so it comes out quicker. Sleep. We talk about it. Here are a couple of tips that I've learned, and I'm not perfect at it for sure. 8 to 10 hours for real. I know it's hard when you have kids. I think the thing that people mess up the most is screens before bed. We're watching TV or we're looking at our phone or we're doing whatever, and you need some amount of time, and there's tons of data and science on this, to put the screens down and disconnect and just be a plant. You need time off. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I have trouble just shutting down,
Yeah.
shutting my brain down, not thinking about it, replaying it, doing this thing. I have my phone, I'll wait, I'll just make notes and do that so that I try to go to sleep and the whole thing and let it go, but I just have trouble shutting down.
Yeah.
Just shutting my brain down.
Yeah, you are not alone. I really struggled with this for a long time. Couple of things that worked really well for me. We're going to talk about The Miracle Morning in a minute, which is a book. And they talk a lot about how you need to do well the night before in order to have a good morning routine. So they'll give you a lot of tips. Couple of things. You put your phone in another room with the alarm on loud, or you just buy an old alarm because they work. And you put your phone in the other room because it's so easy to just keep picking it up. And then you have a notepad and a pen. I'm the same way, late night thoughts all the time, and I got to get them out or they're gone. Yeah. So you just have a pen and paper. Okay. And then I have really had to force myself to have an evening ritual so that my body understands that it's time. So my wife and I drink sleepy time tea. It's been really helpful, really helpful. I read fiction at night. No nonfiction, because nonfiction gets me thinking. Fiction I can fall asleep with. I have an eye mask. This is a small thing, but holy moly has it changed my life. I have some essential oils. I do the thing, Cuticle cream, hand lotion, you wash your face. Like I have a ritual so that my body understands now it's time to wind down, and it takes about 30 minutes so that by the time I get into bed, some nights I'm really wired if it was really anxious and I'll read like 30 pages of a book. Most nights I get through about 3 pages before I have passed out. Yeah. Just some suggestions that have worked for me might not work for you, but I'd try them. You also need time off. This is a funny thing as realtors, but we need it. I take Tuesdays off, Tuesdays, every single week. My clients know it, my assistant knows it, my industry partners know it. You can call me on a Tuesday, go for it. I'll call you back on Wednesday. We need time doing things that you love, time with people that you love, with your family, with your friends. For the people with kiddos and families, this is really hard sometimes to work in, but you do need time with your friends. And then what I would call customized support. So one of the business coaches I worked with helped me with this. I was probably like 24, and I was trying to figure out how to transition out of the painting business and get into real estate. And I was just really struggling with some things, and she helped me with this principle, which is at different points in your life, you need different things. And so you need to bring people in for customized support. It's custom support for you at that moment. So as an example, at some points in your life, you might be really motivated with exercise. And at another point, you might not be. And so that's the time that you need to bring in a trainer. And that's okay. That's just what you're needing at that time, is a little bit of accountability so that you can get to the gym. So finding like, what are the things I'm really struggling with and how can I bring in more support here? Questions on environment? No, okay. Well then, let's get into strategy and problem solving. 2 more principles before we have our little break. And I know the room's getting a little hot. It tends to as the day goes on because this is a sheet of windows. So strategy and problem solving is one of the biggest things that has helped me out of times that I have felt really stuck. And what I have had to do is slow down instead of just being go, 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 go all the time, which is hard to do in this business. It's very easy to just get reactive. My phone rings, the client needs this, I have an email, I have to get back to this person, whatever, and we're just reacting all the time. And that's usually when we end up burnout and stuck. And so I just want to preface this with, you've got to find time to reflect and to slow down and to actually be able to think, get your head out of the water and look up, where do I need to be swimming to? So a little bit of an example, when I ran my painting business, almost all of my customers were from door knocking. For 8 years, knocking on doors. I do not door knock now as a real estate agent. I'm done with that. So what would happen is each week, I knew that I needed to sell between $10,000 and $20,000 worth of paint jobs every week. And in order for me to sell $10,000 to $20,000 worth of paint jobs, my average job was around like $4 or $5 grand. I needed to sell 4-ish clients, right? 4-ish customers. In order for me to land 4, I needed to have 10 estimates. So 10 people I went and met with, gave them a price, whatever, because I had about a 40% SR. In order for me to have 10 appointments, I needed to go get 15 to 20 leads every week from door knocking. So when I first started, I was out door knocking all the time. So it was 15 to 20 hours of door knocking. Each estimate took me about an hour, plus with drive time there and back about 2 hours. So another 20 hours of that, plus the time of lining up the jobs, yada, 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 signing contracts, et cetera. So my whole work week was taken up with this. When in there was I supposed to start and stop crews and manage projects? Didn't work. So one of my business coaches early on was like, okay, what's the plan this week for booking your $20,000 of paint jobs? Well, I'm gonna go door knock and do this and do that. And he said, okay, what if instead you spent 30 minutes posting on Craigslist, because that's where we used to hire people, posting on Craigslist for door knockers, and then the next day you spent 1 hour going through all of the applications, and then the next day you spent 2 hours interviewing with these people, and then 3 days from them, which was Saturday, which was our big door knocking days because people were home, you did a 4-hour training session with the people that you just hired. So that my total time investment was around 7 or 8 hours to go get the same number of leads, because I had 4 people out with me on that Saturday. And something clicked in my mind then, and I just share this story with you as something for you to think about and reflect upon in your business, which is how can you work smarter, not harder, to get better results? And this is the strategy part of the business. And I'll give you a couple of examples in a second. So how do we do this? How can we become more strategic? so that we can get more results, to get ourselves unstuck, and to get ourselves motivated. The first, as I mentioned, slow down. Schedule an hour by yourself or 2 hours for reflection, for time for you to look at your business and not just be working in your business. The next is define the goal, right? And so in the example I gave you, it was book $20,000 worth of work, which equals get 15 leads this weekend. The third, gather information around your plan. So put together some sort of plan, hash it out, get the details, good to go, make sure it's viable. And then here's the important part. Consider alternative options. So when I first started doing this, what I would do is I would take a piece of paper, like just something that was routine for me, right? Because we all get into these routines in our business. Oh, I'm going to go out and do an open house this weekend. And you just get into that routine. And what I would do is I would take whatever that routine was, I would sit down with a blank piece of paper, and I would write out all of the different ways that I could instead go get a lead that weekend. I could sign up for Zillow and get a lead. I could go to a networking event. I could go knock on 100 doors, right? Like you can go through all of the things. I can call 20 for sale by owners each day. But hash out all of the other options and then make a decision around what you're going to go do. So consider the efficiency in your goals. Does it make sense for me to be doing this task, or does it make sense for me to hire this out? A really good example, like almost every time I'm working with coaching clients, is early on we get to this point of, hey, we need to get your database filled out. Almost every time. We need to get all the people in your database filled out. We need to get the contacts in there, and they need to get tagged appropriately. And no real estate agent wants to go sit down and do that, right? Or is that somebody's like favorite activity? Because I will hire you if it is. No, okay. So with that task in particular, I find that a lot of people benefit from, instead of getting so caught up into this problem, when am I going to go sit down, just hire someone. Just hire somebody for this task. But we get so single-minded and tunnel vision on it that we forget that there are alternatives. So a quick example of how this applies in the business is an open house. So somebody who's not strategic is going to say, I'm going to go do one open house every weekend. Somebody who is strategic will say, I'm going to go do one open house per week. It's going to be on a single family home. Why? Why would somebody want to do a single family home versus a condo? Yep. And also, homes are selling. Condos are not so much. There's a smaller buyer pool for them. So I'm going to go to the product that has the largest buyer pool right now. And I'm going to go do it on a price range that has the largest buyer pool right now, 600 to 800K. Shit over $1 million, not moving so fast. And that might work if that's your price point and that's your strategy, but if it was, I need to go get a lead this week, I'm going to go for the product type and the part of town with the price point that makes the most sense for me to go get a lead this week. On the west side of town, because that's where I mostly do my sales, so that's what makes sense for me, that's where I'm a neighborhood expert. And then just as an example, it's going to be a mid-century modern home, if that's your niche or whatever your thing is. So one for me is that I really love working with house hackers. I teach classes on it. I love it. That's how my wife and I built our rental portfolio over a period of time. So when I walk into a home and I were to hold an open house on a house hack, that is the exact clientele that I want to work with. And I've got enough knowledge base that I will for sure convert them. But if you put me on a luxury home, do I have to care what kinds of cabinets these are? Really? Right? So that's maybe not the best environment for me to get a client. So another example, just for you to think about with your database, we all know we need to make phone calls, right? Not getting a lot of nods. We all know we need to make phone calls, right? Okay. Not just text messages, but phone calls. So who would it make sense to call? If it's like, shit, I need business, how am I going to go get business? There are a few people that transact regardless of the market. And there are people that transact because they have to, not always because they want to. So as an example, people move when there is a death or a birth, often, right? People also move when there is a marriage, or conversely, when there is a divorce. Job changes. Somebody gets a promotion. Now I can finally afford that house that I want. Job loss. I need to cut my expenses down. A relocation of a job. I need to sell. I'm moving out of state. Or they need to buy because they're moving into state. Health changes of themselves or of family members. Those would be the people that if I were you, I would be focusing on being in close contact with, because they are likely going to need somebody's services to help them, versus somebody that's been kicking around in your database, that's been renting forever, that hates real estate agents, blah, 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 blah. Why are you trying to earn that person's business? Let it go. Go after the people that actually want to work with you and need your services. So that's just one way to, again, look at your database and to be a little bit more strategic. So a couple of resources if you struggle with strategy. Your business plan, you want to get it down into weekly details. So again, just saying I'm going to go do one open house per week, that's not enough. I'm going to do one open house per week. I'm going to door knock for every single one of those. All of them are going to be in this price range or in these price ranges, in these months, in these locations. Get down into the details. Business coaching. Does anybody here have a business coach other than Jared? Okay. This is crazy to me that people don't have business coaches. Has anybody here ever had a business coach? Okay, cool. Why on earth would you want a business coach? It is so difficult to be in your day-to-day, doing the things all the time, and not have somebody constantly pulling your head above the water to look around to help you figure out where to swim. They can give you resources, they can give you tools, they can help you improve your skills, and you can be very vulnerable with them, tell them what's going on, and they will help you. No brainer to have a business coach. I've had one since I was 19. Every single year, I switch them out, or every other year, I switch them out. Could not have done anything that I've done without my business coaches, without question. Come to some other classes I'm teaching. And then another one, if you really struggle with strategy, like your head is just always down, there's this book called Your Next 5 Moves that would be really wonderful for you to pick up. This is also so helpful for real estate agents specifically, because sometimes we get caught up in the, okay, well, this is what the seller said. What do you guys want to do as buyers? And you respond. And you don't think about, well, when we respond this way, then what? What are some of the things that they might do? And then what does that mean for us? So you will also become a much better negotiator if you can be thinking a few steps ahead. All right, questions on that one? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just wondering how you pick your business coach. You said you switch them out every year, every other year.
Yeah.
Is it like what I need now versus what I needed a year ago?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yep.
Do they not grow with you? I've never had it.
Yeah, it's not that they don't grow. For me, and some people stay with business coaches a long time. One of my business coaches told me his one client had been with him for 15 years. I'm like, sweet. I would never. I told him when I hired him, this is going to be a 1 to 2 year thing. Don't get attached. And the reason for that personally is that I need new perspective and I need to be pushed all the time. And sometimes what happens is at a certain point in a relationship, we get a little too comfy and I'm not getting pushed as hard as I want to be pushed. For me, also what has happened is that I've had significant life changes over that time and I need a different energy. So as an example, when we were traveling, the business coach that I was using for 2 or 3 years was this guy, James, and he was specific for team leads. Great. When I got back from traveling, I dissolved my team. It doesn't make sense for me to have James anymore. And now I'm in another transition in my life. I want a female, right, with great energy, who's also been really successful to help me navigate this next kind of transition. So it varies. A lot of Googling, online, Facebook groups, etc. And then interview a couple, just like a therapist. Not everybody's going to be a fit. The first person you go and meet with might not be the right person. Sit down with a couple, check out their billing, make sure that their personality is what's going to motivate you. And sometimes what you want is not what you need. So I want to say that too. Sometimes you might be more inclined to go with somebody who's really soft and gentle, but maybe you need an ass kicking. For me, it's the opposite. I'm more inclined to go with the ass kicking, and I'm like, actually, I need somebody who's going to be kind to get me to slow down. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm new,
Okay.
within the last 3 months, and you're watching every dollar go in and out because you're trying to get started and get your business running. What would you recommend for somebody that's trying to be conscious of their budget as well, trying to get started?
Yeah. It's tricky when you're first getting going. Just like anything, I would find the coach that you want to work with within your budget. So it's probably going to be a less expensive coach. Save, and then you tell yourself, you commit to it. Okay, after my first closing, 400 of this is going towards this person so that I can have this coach. Yeah, you just have to pace yourself a little bit better.
How can a person go about if you're always used to doing everything yourself?
Hire a coach.
How can I find one? Like, I'm so used to doing everything by myself.
Yeah.
How can I do that?
Yeah, I would go onto Facebook groups or Google, kind of as I responded over here, and go try to find somebody that does business coaching and sit down with them. Ultimately, what's really fun about the coaching relationship is that this isn't a parent. This is somebody that you are paying for their services. And so what I find is when that happens, you are really committed to showing up and to what they have to say because you're paying for that and you want to get the most out of it. So you'll show up in a different way, I assure you, once you're paying somebody for it. Or if you don't, the relationship will fail almost immediately. Yeah. Yeah? Okay, let's go on to the next one, and then we will get to our break. So self-awareness. Self-awareness is critical because we're working with other people all the time. So it's really important that we know how we're showing up, how people are perceiving us, how we smell, how we look. Got to have really good self-awareness. It's usually the people that don't think that they're struggling with self-awareness that are struggling with self-awareness because they're not aware of the fact that they aren't self-aware. So I'll give you a couple of tips here, some things that have helped me along the way and helped people that I've worked with along the way, is there's a couple of different personality tests that you can do. DISC is a very common one. This is also just a great exercise for you to go through to also understand what personality types your clients are because it helps you understand how to interact with them, right? I, surprise, surprise, am a D. So I don't necessarily want all of the detail and the information. Tell me what I need to know and let's make some decisions and get moving. I have to change my style when I am working with an I. And I am capable of doing that, but I always have to flip a switch in my brain. Like, calm it down. They need a little bit more time, more information to make decisions. That's fine. So this is a really good one for you to do if you haven't before. Don't assume where you are. Has anyone here taken Strength Finders? Strength Finders changed my life. This is a really good one. I took this test and it gives you like your top 34 characteristics, but in order of what your strengths are. And what they find is that your top 5 influence most of your decision making. So my number 1 is strategic. So being in an industry like real estate that allows me to constantly utilize strategy works for me. But what's really interesting is that your 5 strengths can also end up being your weaknesses if you understand what they are and how they interact. So sometimes I'm too strategic. I am overthinking. I need to back it off. You're being a little too strategic, just let it go. Another one of my top 5 is responsibility. As I mentioned earlier, I have no problem owning my shit. Where I get into trouble is when I start to own other people's. I take responsibility for their actions. I can't carry people. They have to do it themselves. So this is a really good test for you to take. It's really, really interesting. If you have a spouse, also really fun to have the spouse take it because it talks about how different people with different strengths interact. The Culture Index is another one. Myers-Briggs is another one. There's a bunch of really good personality tests out there. So if you've not done that before, really awesome for you to go do that.
Is there a book that goes with Strength?
Yes. There is a book that goes with Strength Finders. I'm pretty sure if you buy the book, it gives you a discount to the test. This is a long time ago that I took that one originally, but yeah. How can you increase your self-awareness? Has anybody here ever taken themselves to a movie before by themselves? Has anybody here ever taken themselves out for a nice dinner alone? Okay, fewer than the movie. This is so wild to me because I take myself out to eat by myself like at least 3 times a week, at least. At least. If you struggle with self-awareness, one of the best things that you can do is spend time alone. Do not allow yourself to be distracted and just pay attention to what's going on. And I have to fight it almost every time I go out to eat, and what do I want to do? I want to pull out a book, I want to pull out my laptop, I want to pull out my phone. I want to do something. And I feel that energy coming up, and I'm like, what is going on? Just be a person, just sit, right? And it forces me to sit and reflect. I'm like, oh, that's right, you struggle to relax. Like, let's work on that. This is the time to practice it. So if you don't have a ton of self-awareness, go travel by yourself. That's one of my favorite things to do. You will get to know yourself real well, real fast. Go eat dinner or go out to lunch by yourself, go to a movie, do something alone. And just pay attention. So what are the benefits of being really self-aware? A couple things. One, you will become more aware of what you're actually not good at. And that will help you make decisions about what you should be leveraging out. It will also help you start to understand what you are really good at and what you should not be leveraging out. These are my secret sauces, so I need to lean more on those. You'll be able to honestly improve your weaknesses because you'll know what they are. You will act more authentically instead of out of anxiousness. And by the way, that's what people are attracted to, is authenticity. And they feel like you really show up as yourself. They feel like they can trust you. Again, we're helping people make the largest financial decision of their lives. People want to know that they can trust their agent. And all around, you'll make better decisions. So a couple of awareness resources, and then we're going to take that 5-minute break. Therapy is huge. It doesn't just have to be therapy. It can also be life coaches. Life coaches are also helpful. You just want to check the credentials, make sure that they're aligned with what you're looking for. Coaching to get ongoing feedback, personality tests, feedback from trusted people. I like to put on here 360 feedback. Has anybody ever worked in corporate and done 360 feedback before? What is it? Like rough.
You're reviewing your leader and their review.
Yeah.
It's not just one direction.
Yeah, it's not just you getting feedback from your boss, it's you also giving feedback to your boss, but also other people. So people that report to you, people that are your peers, because each person will have a very different perspective of you. So this is kind of a fun thing. You could talk to somebody at the brokerage that knows you. You could talk to another real estate agent that knows you. You could talk to your assistant or VA and get feedback. And that way you have kind of a holistic view. And if you see some commonalities, there's probably some truth there. Another one that's not on here, podcasts are huge. Mel Robbins, absolutely amazing. Jay Shetty, absolutely amazing. These are things you can listen to while you drive. I do it in my morning routine. Really, really awesome just to help gear you towards, oh yeah, maybe I do that. Principle number 5. This is one of my favorites, which is discipline. What does discipline mean to you? Can somebody just give me an example? What comes to mind? Showing up when you don't want to, yeah.
If you say you're gonna do something, you do it.
Yeah, character. Do what you say you're gonna do, for sure. Anybody else?
If I'm being honest, it means losing my freedom.
Losing my freedom. Thank you for being honest. Because so many people, when they hear the word discipline, we have this negative internal response. What's so funny is that the base of the word discipline is disciple, a religious word. And what are disciples? Followers, people that are very committed to something. Which is so interesting, because maybe we could change our framework around this a little bit, that when we say discipline, all that this means is being a disciple to ourselves. It's being a disciple to us. I have goals, I want to achieve them, so I need to be committed to that for me. Yeah, thanks for being honest. It's great. It's real. So let's be honest, self-employment is fucking hard. It is hard. Harder than most people think. Why? Because the people that inspire you to go into business for yourself make it look easy, because they've done it really well. So you think it might be easy for you too. It's hard. You have to wear all of the different hats. So in order to be successful, you really need to have a routine. So important, because all of a sudden you don't have a job that you're going and reporting to every day from 9 to 5, right? You have to create a schedule and consistency and routine for yourself, which requires a lot of discipline, because it's very easy to just not do. It's very easy to sleep in until 10 a.m. every day, right? It's very easy to work all the time on the other end of things, instead of carving out time for yourself, because you're not supposed to work on Saturdays and Sundays with a W-2. So it's hard. I cannot emphasize enough how important your calendar is. If that is something that you struggle with, sign up for a one-on-one session with me on coaching. Listen to my last class, How to Run Your Business Like a Business. There's an entire 30-minute segment on calendars. I am for sure going to be bringing something to the brokerage in the next 6 months on just calendars. But this is everything. Your calendar is everything. So stick to your calendar. So how can you do these things? If you struggle with discipline, like how can you start? Just like with anything, just start small. So often people are like, all right, I'm gonna be really disciplined. I'm gonna work out a lot. I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna take better care of myself. And they bite off more than they can chew. I'm gonna go to the gym 4 times a week instead of 0. That's too big of a commitment when you're first starting out. Try once. I'm gonna go to the gym once a week for the next 12 weeks. And then I will add in a second one. So start small. So how I recommend you do this with your calendar is pick one daily thing every day so that you can work this muscle that you are going to do. And I'd recommend it be the same thing. Like it's just one thing, that way that you don't have to think about it. Every day I wake up, I do X. Maybe it's that you wake up and you go for a 15-minute walk. Maybe it's that you wake up and you down an entire glass of water. Whatever it is, but pick one thing to start to work this muscle, and then pick an amount of time that you could add in a second thing. So, all right, I'm gonna do this for 60 days, and then I'm gonna add in a second. But start small, because consistent action over time, you're gonna have way better results than these big bursts of energy where you end up losing steam and then not doing them at all. Life-changing advice, I know. Has anybody not read The Miracle Morning? Please raise your hand so high. Sweet. Your life is going to get better if you do. So I would recommend that you pull out your phone now and order the book on Amazon or a lesser evil, but get the book delivered. It's gonna be like $12. And if $12 is too much for you right now, I have 2 free copies. There's already a free class, and I bring free books because that is how important this information is. I have 2. You're taking one and you raised your hand, they're yours. Cool.
There's also an app for your phone.
Oh, I'm gonna talk about that.
Thank you.
So The Miracle Morning, this is what it looked like before they redid the cover. Okay? So I wanna tell you a little bit about it. And I still recommend that you read the book because it's gonna make a lot more sense if you do. But The Miracle Morning is basically what are the 6 activities that you can do every morning to make up a morning routine. And it goes in the acronym SAVERS, so SAVERS in that order. Couple disclaimers before you get discouraged. You don't have to do all of them, and you don't have to do all of them or any of them for very long. You could do each one for 1 minute and have a 6-minute morning routine, and you've done it. Okay, so now that you've put down your walls a little bit, let's talk about it. So the first one is silence. To me, the silence means 2 things. Number 1, I'm not looking at my phone when I first wake up. Wear a watch. Turn off your alarm, pay attention to the time, do not look at your phone. Just get your anxiety going. So silence. And then the second thing that it means to me is a bit of meditation. If you think self-employment is hard, you should try meditating. Holy shit. Meditating is hard. It is a practice. It's very difficult, and you don't have to do it for very long either. Again, it could be 1 minute. But sit in some silence. Give yourself and your body an opportunity to wake up and come to earth and to feel the ground before you go do anything else. The second thing is affirmations. Who can tell me what an affirmation is? What is it? Like washing your brain. Like brainwashing your brain, yeah. Affirmations are positive things that you say to yourself to affirm something. So, a couple of tips that I've learned along the way that I've done for myself. There is an app on your phone called I Am. I have that on, and it sends me nice things throughout the day. And I have to say the timeliness of some of those things is really interesting. As you start to interact with the app more, it's fascinating. Something will pop up when I've been really mean to myself, and it's like, I am kind to myself. And I'm like, yes, I am kind to myself. But it's saying positive things. The other thing that's been helpful for me in the morning is I printed out a list of affirmations that are broken up by category. So some of them are about leadership. Some of them are about relationships. Some of them are about money. Some of them are about career. Some of them are about friendships. And so when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I've got this feeling, right? Like, what is this thing about? It's anxiety about something usually. I'll go to that section and then I'll say something nice to myself that pertains directly to what I'm feeling so that it connects. Does this make sense? So something you can say to yourself, you can also just write it down a couple of times. It also helps.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, so when I first started doing these, it was about 3 years ago that I started this routine, like very seriously. I would say to myself, I am a magnet for wealth and success. I am a magnet for wealth and success. And then I would visualize, which I'll talk about in a second. And within 3 months, I was on the trajectory to run the largest business that to this day I still have ever run. It was because of that affirmation. And then I realized that's not all I want in life. So now my affirmations look a little different. The next one is visualization. And when you combine the two of these, anything is possible. Anybody here like sports? Okay, this is something a lot of athletes do. Okay, and we were taught this as well. So I played collegiate basketball, and we were taught when you go up to the free throw line, you just got fouled, you're going up for some free throws, free shots, right? It's a mind game. You've practiced this shot 1,000,001 times, but because everybody's watching you do it and it's slow, you'll fuck up. It happens. So when you're up there, you take your couple of dribbles, and while you're taking your dribbles, you visualize the basketball going into the hoop. Tons of athletes do this with different things. And then you shoot, and you just follow the motion that you've already put into your mind. It activates your muscle memory. It sends positive vibes to yourself. It lets you relax, tells your nervous system it's okay, I've got this. So when you combine the two of these, magic happens. So as an example, one that I'd been doing a lot over the last year was I take care of myself fully and completely. And I would visualize myself in a yoga class. I would visualize myself drinking water. I would visualize myself eating healthy food. I'd visualize myself talking to my therapist. I take care of myself fully and completely. And when you combine the two, again, magic happens. The next one is exercise. This does not have to be a full workout. It can be as simple as, for 60 seconds, I'm gonna do squats. For 1 minute, I'm gonna do a wall sit or a plank. It could be just stretching for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full workout, but the point is to get your body incorporated and give it a chance to wake up before you start placing all of these demands on it. Or it can be a full workout. That's great, but it doesn't have to be. The next is reading. So things that have worked really well for me, I am actively always reading at least 10 books, at least, not because I'm reading 10 books a month. No, I read like 10 to 12 books a year, but I like to have a variety. So I wake up in the morning, what's speaking to me right now? I grab that book and I'll read a couple pages of it, and then I put it back. Some people like to read articles and different things like that. Whatever inspires you or whatever is something that you're working on. Maybe you're really interested in learning woodworking. Cool, so every morning for 10 minutes, you're gonna read about woodworking. Whatever works. And then the next is scribing. So this could be combined with affirmations. I'm writing out, I am wonderful, I am wonderful. Or it could actually be reflecting, journaling. I have a gratitude journal that always guides me. What am I grateful for this morning? What am I most excited about today? How am I gonna make space for gratitude today? And so I'll fill that out. Questions on the activities? No. Okay, couple of pro tips. One, read the book. Number two, use the app, which is what this gentleman mentioned a minute ago. Couple of things about the app. It's cheap, which is awesome. Secondly, it's got a built-in tracker, which is also really awesome. So it will show me what days I did my miracle morning, what days I didn't. On the actual tracker, you just click the ones that you did that morning. Just mark them off, it keeps track for you. But then the most useful thing for me has been that it's got a library with all of these different tracks and activities for each of the savers. So when I've got a busy day and I didn't quite get up as early as I wanted to, there will be tracks that I will go to that have all 6 savers in it. And the run time is 11 minutes, 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes. You can make 8 minutes of space for yourself in a morning and turn on a track. And it will guide you through all of the savers. Or you can just pick 1 or 2, whatever. This has changed my life. Why has it changed my life? Why is a morning routine a really good place to start if you struggle with discipline? Because you're gonna start to teach your brain something really important, which is that every day, no matter what, you are going to make time for you. Before anything else, you are prioritizing you. Before you take care of the dog, before you take care of the kiddos, before you take care of the spouse, before you take care of your clients, you just take a couple of minutes for yourself. And it's just a muscle memory. It's just something that you're working, a muscle. It also helps to remind you, because it's so easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day. That's how we end up getting stuck. It also helps to remind you that you're working to something bigger. So if you have aspirations, as an example, I really want to go to culinary school. So as an example, if you have aspirations to go to culinary school, then in the morning, you might read some recipes or watch some videos on some different things or research things about nutrition. And that's your 10 minutes of reading each day. But it reminds me that outside of real estate, I am another person. I have other things and other goals and other dreams that I'm actively working on every single day. It will help you with consistent wake-up times, I assure you. My wake-up time is solely based off of what time do I need to be ready and what time do I want to start my morning routine. So consistently, I get up between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m., just depending on if I'm going to yoga that morning or not. It will help you have better sleep, because once you actually force yourself to start getting up between 5:30, 6:30, whatever a.m., whatever it is for you, all of a sudden you're faced with your bad habits at night, because that's the thing that gets in the way of you having good habits in the morning. So you start to have better sleep. You'll have more productive days. And I've asked this to people I've coached and to the team members that I had, of who can tell me what it feels like on a day that they've done their miracle morning and days that they haven't. And there is a very noticeable difference. Better attitudes, more positive, just by starting the day this way. It teaches you that you can be disciplined. Sometimes we have a belief that, like, I'm just not good at that. That's just not a thing I can do. It is. You just have to practice. And then let this be the groundwork, the bedrock for all of your other discipline. Just start with taking really good care of yourself. And then everything else will follow, because now you can add stuff to it. Okay, I did my miracle morning. Now the first hour of each day, I'm going to do the real estate task that I don't want to do. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and I'm going to get it over with. And that's the first hour of every day. And then the next 2 hours after that, now I'm going to start to add in lead generation or whatever. But let that be the building block for the rest of your day. Questions on the miracle morning before I finish with this last little tidbit here? No? Okay. So a couple quick hitters. I say this in every class that I teach. And honestly, if this were the only thing that you walked away with, I would still feel pretty good if you actually went and implemented it. Couple of practices with discipline that will help change your business, and I know that have helped change my business and my life. Number one, have a detailed weekly plan. Do not wake up and not know what you're supposed to be doing in your business that day. My God. Create a plan. Ideally an annual plan. Break it down to monthly, break it down to weekly. These are the things that I'm going to do every single week. Put that in your calendar with recurring time blocks, because ideally the things that you're supposed to be doing each week are the same most times. I know I need to do one open house every single Saturday. I know that I need to do 2 hours of making phone calls and checking on my database, right? Whatever it is, it should be the same system that you're doing all the time if you want consistency. And then here are the key pieces. These are so small but so powerful. Every Sunday, you could put it in your calendar right now as we're speaking. Taking notes is great, taking action is better. You could put in a time block for Sunday night, recurring, that you're going to spend 1 hour on your calendar. I know, it's counterintuitive. I have to have an hour in my calendar to spend time on my calendar. Yes, yes. And what will happen is on Sunday nights, you'll sit down and you'll look at your week. What do I have going on? What are my goals for this week? Do I have enough lead gen time in here? Have I double booked myself? How am I going to get from this appointment to this appointment with this amount of time? And you'll do all of the problem solving and the hard work on Sunday night and set your calendar up so that you can just wake up and do. Remove the thinking. So every Sunday, and things happen, things change, I get it. But if the bedrock is there, if the main foundation is there, it's a lot easier to flow. Now, the second huge thing is at the end of each day. This is a muscle that you have to work. So for me, okay, I'm ready to take my working cap off. I pull out my calendar. What did I not get done today? What did I not get done today? And I take a couple of minutes and I move it to the future, whether that's tomorrow or 3 days later or whatever. And that creates a bit of a ripple effect, right? Because if I put it somewhere, then I might have to move something else. And all of a sudden, I'm spending 10 to 15 minutes on my calendar each day. But if you can be really disciplined with just those two things, you will stop forgetting about stuff and you will stop missing things, because what you're doing is always pushing stuff out in front of you so that nothing gets left behind. Every week, I'm checking in for 1 hour. Every day, I'm checking in for 10 minutes and kicking it forward if I missed it. So simple, such a big deal. And then the final one is stop writing things down. I don't mean necessarily in this moment, take your notes. But when I'm standing with somebody, and if you ever have a conversation with me and there's a to-do, you'll see me do it. It is like habit at this point. We'll have a conversation, hey, we should get together for lunch. Yes. I will pull out my phone, open up my calendar, and let's find a fucking time to have lunch. So that it's not this game of texting back and forth for months and hopes and dreams of it, right? Or if I'm having a conversation with a client, yes, I'm gonna email that to you. I pull out my phone as I am saying it and add a calendar block for myself for that afternoon. Email X to so-and-so, so that I will not forget it.
And on top of that, I like to tell Siri to remind me of things. So if I'm driving and I'm thinking about that client, hey Siri, remind me in 5 minutes to email Aaron about ABC.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, totally.
I always have these reminders popping in all the time.
Yes.
We're always thinking about things. And so Siri is my assistant. She's my best friend.
Yes. Or if I'm somewhere and all I have is my phone, rather than taking a note on my notepad where it goes to die, I will email myself. Because I know I'm a badass with my email. I will see that in 1 hour and I will do it. Yeah. Okay. So a couple of resources for you. Utilize trackers. So on the Miracle Morning app, as an example, it has a tracker. There's all other sorts of trackers you can use. I talk about activity trackers in my other classes a lot. It's a whole segment. It's something that you can do if you're interested in increasing your discipline. Set up notifications. So that was great. Siri, remind me of whatever. You can also set up notifications on your phone. So mine buzz when I'm 5 minutes before the end of an appointment so that I know, okay, time to start switching gears. Let's wrap this up. It's a conversation with somebody. I need to politely exit so that I can get started on my next thing. Accountability from partners, trainers, coaches, calls, accountability calls, teams. And then the books that we talked about were the Miracle Morning, but then the other one is the Compound Effect. I talk about this book all the time. It's so freaking good. It'll take you 25 minutes to read it. It's fast, not 25, probably more like an hour or two. But it's so good. Highly recommend that book too. All right, principle 6 is urgency. This is one of my favorites because we all get stuck in our stuff and we forget that our time here on earth is limited. So urgency. In the wise words of one of my coaches, he used to say to me all the time, take action faster. So Hannah, James, and I were sitting talking earlier about Lon. And one of the things that makes Lon so successful is that when he says he's going to do something, it gets done within 24 to 72 hours. There is no like, oh, this isn't that important, and so I'll like do it later. Like, no, like you have to be ready. If you say something to Lon, it's going to fucking get done, and it's going to get done very fast. He is like a perfect beacon for this, of take action faster. An example I have is I was on a coaching call with my coach, and I was like, God, I'm just so overwhelmed. I really need to exercise and like get this energy out. And he's like, perfect. Pull up your calendar. What are you doing right after this call? When can you move that to? And we went through, and he's like, great. So I'm going to hang up, and you're going to go work out. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go work out right now. Great. Take action faster. Stop thinking about it and start doing. So the huge problem today is that there is so much information out there. We all get into this paralysis by analysis mode. What should I do? Here's my advice with just like anything in life. What is one step that you can take right now? It's so overwhelming when you think about, oh my God, I got to get my whole database reworked. I got to do this, I got to do that. And then we end up not doing anything. What is one step that I can take right now? I can block off 2 hours to actually start getting people categorized. I can go ahead and text my niece or my nephew that told me that they were going to help me. I can do that right now and start the conversation to start paying them to do some of this. What is one thing I can do right now? And then the other is fear. We are so afraid to fail. And the thing that I want to point out to you here with this, it's just the funniest thing. We are so afraid to be seen. That's why we're afraid to fail. Like if you just had to fail in the comfort of your own home and no one ever knew or saw you, you're probably going to take more risks. But if it's public, if it's visible in any way, we really like clam up and we're so afraid. And it's just the funniest thing because people are seeing you either way, right? They're either seeing you stay the same and do the same shit over and over and over again, or they're seeing you try something new. They're seeing you not do a damn thing, or they're seeing you try something and put forth a lot of effort. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be seen as the person that's going to go for it than as the person that just sits back and wallows.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Around that. I think it was the last company meeting, when you were talking about your baking business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think failure is so interesting. As we get older, at least this is how I am, I'm like,
You're more afraid.
you're more afraid.
For sure.
Right? But when you were a kid and, which is still hard, but kids are more resilient.
Yeah.
So what's your advice around that as you get older, and if you're doing something new and there's failure, and I don't know, if you do have kids and affirmation. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So for me, what it is, no, but like it is urgency to me. It's still what it is. So as a kid, yeah, we're not afraid to fail, but we lack perspective. And as we get older, we have perspective. And that perspective should be that maybe we've lost some family members, maybe we've lost some friends, maybe we've gone through some hard times and we start to realize I only have a certain amount of time in my life. And that is the thing that should fuel you because it's your perspective rather than your ignorance that actually I gotta fucking get a move on. Like I'm 32, if I wanna go to culinary school, when's that gonna happen? Like if we're gonna have kids, that's gonna, and it just starts, whatever, just do it now. So I would say have more perspective about how limited and how fragile life is and do it now. So it's still urgency, it's just urgency, yeah. And then this is from a guy, I just say it's from some guy, which I love, which is that if you're gonna fail, just do it faster. Just do it faster, right? Like you're so afraid, just rip the Band-Aid off, just get through it and then move on. That's it. It's a lot easier than going slowly and slowly peeling off that Band-Aid and it hurting every second and oh God, and just rip it off. Just do the thing.
I want to become a real estate.
Yeah.
Quit my job.
Yeah, fuck it. Okay, so quick rebounding story around urgency. So one of the things that we would do in our off season was train for basketball. And so I'm with my coach, again, super casual guy. And, you know, I was in soccer season. So I was going in at 6 a.m. to shoot and train for basketball, would then have soccer practice or a game after, and then have an additional basketball practice after. Training like crazy. And at one of these practices, it's me and this other girl, and we're shooting to try to get better at shooting in like game time decisions, right? And so she goes to shoot first. Her name is Casey, God love her. And she's shooting, and I am like full on. There's nobody around me, but you would have thought I was in the middle of a game. I am jumping up, I am grabbing that basketball, I'm pulling it down, I'm shaking off whoever, I'm stepping forward powerfully, throwing the ball right into the pocket for her to be able to shoot a good shot. And I am hustling. Then it's my turn to shoot. And I get up there, and Casey is, right, just, and I lose my fucking mind. I went off. I just, Casey, I need you to do as well for me as I am doing for you. We are trying to get better in this game. Stop fucking around. This isn't practice. We have to treat it like a game if we want to be better in a game, right? Because the pace of practice and the pace of a game is very, very different if you allow it to be. But I want to be ready for the game time. So my coach afterwards pulls me aside. He's like, could have been nicer about how you said it. But ultimately, this is why you're going to be successful in life, because you're not casual about shit that's easy to be casual about. If you're casual about your actions, you're going to have casual results. Be more urgent. This is your life. I would say oh, we're not totally done.
So good.
Well, we're not totally done.
That hit me in my heart.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay, couple resources. The biggest one I'd say for urgency, 2, 1, set timers. So especially for my people with ADHD in the room, I am one of them, set timers. You've got a task and you have 1 hour to do it. So let's say it's social media content creation. All right. I will set a 30-minute timer. At the end of this 30 minutes, I need all of my ideas hashed out for social media that I am going to post in the next month. And when that timer goes off, I hit go again. And now in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to create 2 social media posts that are ready to go. And what ends up happening is it's like a shot clock. You've got this right there, you're watching it count down, and you will hustle. You will be more decisive, and you will be more effective oftentimes, depending on the task. Use timers. It's a beautiful thing. The way that I use timers in my business is I have them built in. So I set meetings for myself almost every day of the week at 8 a.m. Almost every single day of the week, 8 a.m. I am up, I am dressed, I am ready, I have had my miracle morning. Let's get this shit on the road. Let's go. And then I'll have a meeting and I'll have some time to get work done, and then I've got another meeting. That's my built-in timer. I've got 2 hours to get this done before my next meeting. So just think about that a little bit to put time pressure on yourself. And then the next is the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Really phenomenal book if you struggle with urgency. I'm not going to tell you about it, but there's a podcast too that you could listen to. All right. Questions on that before we go into the heart part? No? All right, cool. So we are going to talk about purpose. My favorite quote is with this is, when the why is strong enough, the how takes care of itself. When your why is strong enough, the how takes care of itself. If you're struggling with the how, your why is not strong enough. You're not connected enough to what you're doing, why you're doing it. So how can you find your why? I'm going to tell you a lot about my story here in a second. But if you don't know what yours is, you're not feeling super motivated, you're feeling really stuck, this definitely deserves some time. So the first is that you need space and time for honest reflection. So that's that 3-day retreat by yourself, right? That's that trip for a week alone to Mexico just to think, to check in. And write it out. Write it out. Get it out of the body, out of the mind, and onto paper. It will help you organize things. So a couple questions you might want to ask yourself. What are my unique gifts? What am I really good at? What's unique to me? And don't compare yourself to others when you're doing that. Yeah, I'm good at this, but so-and-so is better. Shut up. What are you good at? And that's it. Just what are you good at? What brings you immense satisfaction? Like every time I do that thing, I love it. If you aren't sure, you could ask yourself what lights you up. If somebody comes up to me and wants to have a conversation about buying or selling their home, I do not light up. If somebody wants to come up and have a conversation about building a rental portfolio for themselves so that they can provide a better life for their kids, bam. I am a completely different person in those conversations. What lights you up? And then a really important one, it's probably underlying all of it, is what is it that actually keeps you going when things get really bad? What are you fighting for? What is it that's motivating you underneath all of that? So my unique gifts, just to give you some examples, this is me as a child, a little hellion. And when I was like 2 or 3 years old, my parents got divorced. And they were both very, very career-driven people. Wonderful humans, have great relationships with them to this day. But unfortunately, at that time, their careers were a little bit more important to them than spending time with my brother and I. And so we were alone almost all the time. I was raised by a single mom. We started watching ourselves way too early, and we were alone all the time. And that might sound sad, but I got this really amazing gift out of it, which is that I had to teach myself how to do stuff because I didn't have anybody around to show me. I taught myself how to cook. I taught myself how to do laundry. I taught myself how to do all of these things as a child because I had to if I wanted them done. And what came from that is that I got really good at understanding how to learn things and therefore how to teach things to other people. So I've been doing these free classes, right? Why the fuck would a top producer do free classes? Because it feels good. This is what's exciting to me. I love teaching because this is a gift that I have been given through my upbringing. That's one of my unique gifts. So think a little bit about what yours might be, because I know that you'll have some for sure. Why I keep going. This is my friend Liz. One of my best friends in the world. I'm sorry, it's been 8 years and it just does not get easier. When Liz was 24, she was killed by her husband. 24 years old. She was a nurse. She's one of the best people I've ever fucking met in my life. And in her loss were 3 amazing siblings, amazing people, who needed a big sister through transitions in their life. And luckily for me, because my parents weren't around so much, I was with Liz's family all the time. And I got very close to her siblings. And in the years after her passing, I was so grateful. I got to show up to their weddings. My wife photographed some of their weddings. They're just the best fucking people. And when I have hard days, I remind myself that life is a gift. It is a fucking gift. You have no clue when things could change. She's 24. You have no clue when things could change. And so you better make the fucking best of it, because there's somebody out there that wishes that they could and they can't. So she's a huge reason that I keep going in hard times. The other reason is my wife. She's had one of the most fucked up upbringings I've ever heard, ever. She was taken from her parents when she was like 2, 3 years old, with good reason, and given to her grandmother, who provided a really great life for her as best as she could for a while, until she got into a car accident and she had to go to another family member. And that other family member happened to be a pastor at the time. He's a great guy. She has a great relationship with him now. But at that time, he was a pastor, and this is also around the time that she's starting to realize she's gay. And they put her through conversion therapy. And if you don't know what conversion therapy is, this happens to the LGBTQ community all the fucking time, is that you are sent to either a therapist or to a church, and they try to convince you that there's something wrong with you, that you are not good, that you will be rejected by God or by society. And imagine as a child getting those messages. So when I met my wife, she had moved from Texas, where all that was going on, at the age of 17, moved to Colorado to financially support herself. And I met her, she was 20, working in restaurants. And I saw this fucking light in her. And all I've wanted to do since then, we've been together for almost 9 years, is just show her that life can be so beautiful. It doesn't have to be like that regardless of where you came from. It can be absolutely amazing. And so she's the other reason that I keep going. Sorry, hard to talk about. So in any case, I just want to remind you that I know we're here to talk about business, but ultimately, this is your life. This is your life, and to the best of our knowledge, you get to do this once. One time. One time. So if there's something that you want, that you aren't currently pursuing, if there's something that you need, that you're too afraid to ask for, fucking go for it. You get to do this once. That's all I've got. Sorry to end on a somber note.
No, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Thank you so much for coming. I only have one more of these left. It has been such a blessing for me to get to do this. I really love interacting with people. I love teaching. It means the world. And I also want to get better. I'm very, very open to feedback. So if you email me after and send me positive, negative feedback, whatever, that would be wonderful. Otherwise, I'll stay here to talk. But sincerely, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it.